welcome to Russell Podcast, the show where we delve deep into the journeys, struggles, and triumphs of individuals from diverse fields. Here we aim not just to inspire, but to embark on challenges together. In a world inundated with success stories, Russell Podcast dares to explore the untold tales behind them. It's not just about celebrating victories, it's about understanding the grit, the grind, and the glory that lies beyond. Russell Podcast is your platform. We believe that every journey is unique, every challenge is an opportunity, and every story deserves to be heard. Stay tuned, buckle up, and let's embark on this extraordinary journey together. Welcome to Russell Podcast. Today's guest is Richa Wahi, a dynamic force in the realm of business storytelling and content creation. As the creative head of Second Act, they specialize in crafting compelling narratives that resonate with audiences, driving success in both professional and personal spheres with a keen understanding of the power of storytelling. They empower individuals and businesses to harness the strength of narratives to achieve their goals. Additionally, as a midlife coach at Menza, they guide individuals through transitional phases, help them navigate and thrive in the second acts of life through their expertise and passion. Richa exemplifies the transformative impact of storytelling and coaching, enabling others to triumph in their endeavors. And finally, I would like to ask you, how are you doing, Richa ma'am?
Absolutely fine. That was quite an introduction. I don't think so. It's a lot of good adjectives being used. So I'm very grateful for to that. I'm just a simple storyteller at heart. I love to write. I think if I was to concise my introduction, it would be just that I love to write. I love to write stories. I'm a very keen observer of life. It's one of my favorite things to just observe what's happening around. And I truly believe in the saying that the universe is made up of stories, not atoms. Because if you just look around, in your everyday life, there are so many stories happening. So a lot of times people come and ask me, okay, how can I be a storyteller? So the first thing is we are all storytellers, whether it's telling your boss why you got late, you craft a nice story behind it, to maybe your elevator pitch, to even proposing to your girlfriend or boyfriend. We're always crafting stories, at every juncture in our life. So we are all wired to listen to stories, remember stories, and talk in a storifying manner. But of late, LinkedIn has, catapulted storytelling as one of the biggest skills. And a lot of people are marketing it, a lot of people are riding on the wave. But I view storytelling, so I call myself a chef who cooks without a recipe. So I necessarily may not follow the given framework because I feel storytelling is much simpler. And from the people from whom I learned the nitty gritties of the skill, I remember this one saying they used to say, and which is my holy grail: storytelling is truth well told. So it's as simple as that. You have to be authentic in what you're saying. So kahani sunao, kahani banao mat. Or it is story plus telling, so truth well told. So how you tell your story is exactly where your craft lies, and that's all what I try and tell my clients and my people. Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
a really beautiful analogy as well, well put. And I absolutely love the analogy that the universe is made up of stories, not atoms.
Not
Absolutely
atoms,
wonderful.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next question I have for you is, you've had an intriguing journey from teaching science to delving into recruitment and then transitioning into storytelling and content writing. I mean, what drove
Mhm.
these shifts and how do you feel each experience has shaped your approach to storytelling and content creation?
So I'd like to take you a little bit about my eclectic journey, as I would say, though a lot of people have come and told me that, you've always been changing your careers and changing places. Kabhi aap ye kar rahe ho, kabhi aap wo kar rahe ho. So that day when I was talking to Rahul also, I told him that this is your life and you are deciding the map for it. You are deciding the pathways for it. Never ever compare your journey to somebody else. So I picked on things where my heart lay. I am trained to be a molecular genetist, plant molecular genetist. That is my background. I studied in Delhi University all through. And I started teaching, taught in schools, taught in a college also for some time. But I grew impatient and I thought that, you know, I want to do something else. So that something else took me to Bangalore for some months. I was with my husband. And when I came back to Delhi, I thought, okay, let me try my hand at something different. And that's when a call came and I joined a recruitment firm. I was taking care of the life sciences because, when you deal with the pharmacies and the life sciences industries, these terms are a little difficult to understand. But because of my background, it was pretty easy. So from there, my corporate journey started. And then I moved to international education. Then I sold coaching also for some time. And that's when COVID happened. And, um, during COVID, we were all home stuck and we were sitting at home and we didn't know what to do with our time. So that's when I started to write. Whatever I was feeling every day, I started writing that. And that was also the time I happened to meet a lady who unfortunately is no more. Her name's Deepti Pant. She used to run an institute called the Truth Institute of Storytelling and Innovation. So I had a chance conversation with her, and she said, "Okay, fine. I don't teach storytelling as such because this is something which can't be taught online. But I'll try and tell you something over the phone. So let's meet on Zoom and let's do something about it." So that started, and then the second wave of COVID came, and we lost her to COVID. That was quite a big thud. But what I'm really grateful to her was she started my storytelling journey. She taught me things which you don't find in books and otherwise. So from there, I started learning about the skill, and I realized there are people who are teaching this. So I came across other organizations like Storywalas, and I also got in touch with Geeta ma'am, who's Geeta Ramanujam, Kathalay. So these are the prominent people, and yeah, that's. I'm so sorry. I'll have to escort my dog out. Please take him out.
All
Sorry.
right, it's all right.
So no, he does not leave my side. So if I'm sitting somewhere, he has to sit there. So the idea was that that's when I started understanding, and I wrote a lot during COVID. Much of it I later started posting on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn my is my universe, and I started identifying myself as a storyteller, and I started my small organization called Tales That Spin because I feel stories have the narratives have the power to spin your reality. So that's why this name, Tales That Spin. And in this, I with small two people team, we started helping entrepreneurs, how to give better presentations, how to storify their elevator page, how to do things. Plus, I started writing, and that journey continues till today. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that was a whole journey, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was wonderful, and I love the name Tales That Spin, and the
Tales
reason
that
behind
spin.
it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
wonderful. It's a wonderful reason to the name. Okay. The next question I have for you is your roles have spanned from various sectors, from academia to recruitment and business development. I mean, how has this multidisciplinary background influenced your storytelling? And are there specific skills or insights from each field that you find particularly valuable to your current work?
See, I realize that my biggest strength, I would say, is communication. I know how to talk, how to present myself with a very interesting way. So my communication that has come across in all the surveys and the tests that I've taken, that you have good communication. So I do not believe in good communication. I feel communication has to be effective. So probably I think I have that. So whatever line I picked up, whatever sector I picked up, it happened only because of my effective communication skills. So whether it was teaching, where you need to teach while talking to your students, or whether it was recruitment where you talk to the clients, or whether it was selling, that is business development, it is all happening because of effective communication. There was no strategy behind anything. I picked up what came my way, and I saw that if it makes sense to me, I stayed in it, and I literally call myself a work in progress. I mean, as a 45-year-old, I still don't know what exactly I want to do. Where am I going? I don't think I'm confused, but I'm still in search of something. That X factor, that thing. So I think that is what makes my life very interesting, is because I feel those people who precisely know what they want to do, they're pretty boring. For me, each day is a challenge. Each day is something new. I'm on a journey which I'm thoroughly enjoying. I'm not bothered about the destination as much as I'm bothered about the journey, this process. I truly believe in delaying the gratification and trusting the process, because that's where the thought lays. So I'll give you an example. Supposing you have to go on a trip to Spain. So the journey, you book the tickets, you look at the hotels, you take the visa, then you start shopping for the trip, you start planning, then you start packing, then you reach the airport, then you spend time on the airport, you'll buy a magazine, you'll read a book, you'll click selfies, then you learn in the plane, then you're enjoying your 14-hour 13-hour flight, then you reach there, then you get down at the airport, then you reach the hotel, you meet some interesting people on the flight, you discuss something, you get some new thought about life, you hear something nice, sometimes you just happen to read something on the airport which changes your perspective. Okay, oh wow, this is a nice quotation and this is true. Then you go there, you get into a cab, the cab driver talks to you, he tells you a story. So the destination is not interesting as much as this whole journey that you take to reach Spain and to come back. So I think the process is more important and more interesting. And yeah, so I feel I'm on a journey, I'm on a process, and I'm learning from each experience. So whether it's academia or selling, international education. And believe you me, I totally believe that when your mind is a blank slate, tabula rasa, when you don't have to unlearn anything, that's when you shine. So whatever profession I picked up, I knew nothing about it. मुझे कुछ नहीं पता था, मुझे कुछ आता ही नहीं था उसके बारे में. All I knew how to talk. So I just picked up on the job. I picked on things. I learned from people. I got some good mentors. I learned from them, and I just did it. There is no great equation behind doing things. That's what I feel. Completely personal view. But I feel there's no big thing about it. As long as if your basics are sound and fine, you can just ace it. That's it.
Oh, yeah. I truly believe that, the journey is more like, the journey, the process is more. Right. All right. So, as I was asking, given your expertise in business development, storytelling, and content creation, what advice do you have for individuals or businesses that are looking to craft compelling narratives to engage their audiences and, creating meaningful connections?
I think for every brand who's trying to make a place, let's talk about a startup or even the ones who are very established. And if you take a look at them, they are always sharing stories, whether at every step. So let's talk of a brand, say they are selling tea. So at every step, they can start from the customer stories to stories at the packaging industry, to story at the plantation, to story at what's happening within the organization, to story at how that cup of tea has brought people together. And we see a lot of advertisements where they say that tea is a beverage which transcends the barriers of religion and caste and creed. And even in our houses, a cup of tea is a basic etiquette that we would offer to probably our helps also, or any guest who comes. So for any brand which is trying to connect with the customer, this is the best way. You share your stories. And I feel stories always does not have to talk about success. They have to talk about that what went wrong, because vulnerability is a superpower. So the more you share, even if you share your failure stories, the goof ups that you did, that brings you closer to your customer, because at the end of the day we are all goofing up at one point or the other as humans. And brands are what are brands. So basically we are not selling, they say B2C or B2B, I say H2H, human to human. A brand made by a human selling to another human. So for this H2H, everything has to be taken. Nobody is always successful, nobody is always failing. We are a mix of both. We ace certain things, we flop at certain things, we are learning certain things, we are unlearning a lot of things. So I think as brands, compelling narratives should include everything from their successes to their failures to their goof ups to their vulnerabilities, to the times they were scared, to the times they were overjoyed, to the times how this power of team helped them overcome a particular obstacle. Everything, because everything, when you share with your customers, they feel you, they resonate with you, and they believe in you as a brand. So that's that one line I would say to anybody who thinks how storytelling can probably change for them. Of course, and also as a brand or as a person, you have to rewire what you keep telling yourself. There are a lot of stories. See, we believe stories we tell ourselves. If I tell us myself that, I won't be able to manage every day, then I won't be able to manage. So you have to sometimes rewire your own reality. Have to rewire your own narrative. It's not easy, but you can always, keep working at it. And that is why a lot of things like journaling, meditation, why do they help people? Because when you're writing, you're actually kind of rewiring this narrative that plays in your mind all the time. So yes, the story that you tell or yourself is also very, very important. And if you want to change your direction, change your story, simply.
Wonderful, wonderful. I get that, like the storytelling process is really important. I mean, to drive connections with the customers, especially in such time where social media is like the biggest, advertisement platform for every brand, essentially. To create those meaningful connections can really bring them a long way. Thanks for that. The next question I have for you is, drawing from your experience, organizing events like iTalks, how do you believe storytelling can be leveraged in platforms like podcasts to amplify voices, share diverse perspectives, and foster community engagement?
See, the point is, even if you look at podcasting today, which is quite a trend, what is podcasting? It's the best and the simplest way to bring your story out to people, you know. So why I mean, everybody is on to a certain podcast is because we are all dying to tell our story to the other person. And that's the simplest and the short way. And even I see a lot of celebrities appearing on different podcasts, so when you see a person there sitting in a podcasting place and talking about his journey, there are a lot of human elements which come along, and these human elements help them to connect. So for example, if I'm say hearing the podcast in which say Sachin Tendulkar is there, so I would come to know a lot of things about his life which I did not know. I would come to know that behind that success, that we see a flashy lifestyle, the kind of hard work that man has put, the kind of dedication he's done, the kind of discipline he has. So whether it's human beings or I see a lot of these branding gurus or venture capitalists, they talking about story, they coming on podcast, then they're telling you what to do and what not to do, what should brands do, what should brands not do. So podcasting is nothing but sharing your story, and the information that you get from there is amazing. I am hooked to at least 5 to 6 different podcasts. So I'm getting to know a lot. And for people who are not so much into book reading and all, podcasting is a very simple way of getting a lot of information in a very small amount of time. So when I'm, say, going on a walk, I have my AirPods on and I'm just listening to a podcast. So in that 1 hour, I'm not only getting my physical health, but my mental health is also elevating because I'm getting a lot of good information. And yeah, so So I think podcasting is one of the best ways to do it. And what is podcasting? You're sharing your story. Simple. You're talking about yourself, your brand, your journey, you as an investor, you as a person, how have you done? What are brands doing right? What are brands not doing right? So nowadays we have these group podcasts where 4 5 people are there, and they are talking about what are the so let's say any one sector. Say you have 5 people from hospitality, so they'll give you gyan about hospitality, which you as a person. So I'm not a hospitality person, but when I listen to that podcast, I will. So the other day I was listening to one podcast where Nikhil Kamath had invited 4 5 people from the hospitality. So that's when I got to know that yes, what the model in India that works is multi cuisine, because we are a family culture. We always move out with families. We always go out on evenings with families. And in a family, there may be one Jain vegetarian, one normal vegetarian, one non-vegetarian. One person wants to eat Chinese, person wants to eat. My kid wants to eat pasta. So that is the reason why in India, multi-cuisine restaurants are a hit, whereas specialty restaurants take time. So I did not know that, until unless I had heard that podcast, I did not know that. But that was an information that just opened. So tomorrow, if I'm pitching to a hospitality sector or doing something with them, I already have some information about them. So that is where podcasting, and that is why this sharing of stories comes in the picture. Yeah.
Like the thing that you said about that is actually genuinely true, because even I believe even in my family, we come from different sectors. Like, so there's some, vegetarians, pure vegetarians, and my mother is like a Jain. She doesn't eat onion and garlic. So that's actually
Yeah.
very true. And yeah, I guess storytelling, just helps you with many things, especially, the
Yes.
next time we are discussing with someone, we already have information that will be relevant to us and helpful, to ease the conversation and to accelerate that part.
Yeah, I mean, if I had read it if there's a book on hospitality, I would not pick it up. But this podcast told me certain things like in a very crisp manner, 5 10 things. It had all those big giants of Indian hospitality, right from this person who's the son of Jigs Kalra to somebody who's opened say 10 restaurants. So they were telling their experience, where they failed, where they got success, and in that 1 hour podcast, the amount of information I got to know about the Indian hospitality sector, the standalone restaurants, the premier restaurants, the five-star hotels, the Indian cuisine, the other cuisine. I mean, it's amazing. I would never pick a book on hospitality and read about it because that's not my interest, that's not my sector. But the way the things were told in that podcast, 5 6 people sharing their journey, sharing their story, it's amazing. And I was so thrilled that I hooked on to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
actually really true about, that how no one would actually pick a book like
yeah,
that,
never,
that's out of their
never.
interest. But we see a video and we're like, okay, this might be fun. And we just play it and it's like, okay, yeah, that's
We just play.
actually quite insightful.
Absolutely. Because it's conversational. बातचीत है वो. It's conversational. It's simple. There are no jargons. And people are speaking from the heart. They're telling their tales, that how there's a person who's saying how when I opened the first restaurant, it was a big flop. So then I sat down and realized, okay, these are the 5 things I did wrong. And this is the way the Indian market operates. So it's just amazing. And this is just one of the podcasts. So if you happen to hear their other episodes, they have people from say another sector. So all the startup people, 5 6 of them, they have been invited, and they're telling that what have been their biggest roadblocks. So for anybody who's trying to establish, it's a good information. It's something that they can use in their business, in their daily life, and benefit from it. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's actually quite true. And I believe like maybe some creative minds will also watch this and learn from, that yes, their storytelling, they can also accelerate their journey the way you did, coming from different sectors. They don't have to like, devote their lives from the starting to ending to that. They can come from, like these different sectors of their life. They could be in like a normal 9 to 5 jobs, and yet they can pursue their, dreams of storytelling, or whether it's in
Absolutely.
some other creative
Absolutely.
sector.
It's no rocket science. It's no rocket science. I don't know. A lot of people might, I see a lot of people charging a bomb and saying, okay, we'll teach you this. It's nothing. It's very simple. It's, uh, I really believe in the philosophy that keep it sweet and simple. So it's simple. It's something that it's no rocket science. We already know some bit of it, but yes, You need to learn the telling part of it. So that's where these organizations can help you. But yeah, I mean, it's no rocket science. I still feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, be true to yourself, and just do what your heart says. Follow that
Yeah.
path, and you'll be there. Yep. Okay.
Yes.
The next question I have for you is, considering your experiences in the storytelling and, I talks and similar initiatives, what advice would you offer to aspiring storytellers looking to amplify their respect, and their impact in public speaking and narrative sharing platforms?
So, okay, so my advice is generally quite opposite to the what the LinkedIn pundits would say, because I've always taken that other route to everything in life. So if you tell me that okay, A is the short way to reach the mountain, I would say no. Why don't we try B or maybe C? So that's the way I've been. I would say there are certain things which they should keep in mind, which help me and may probably help them. Is one thing is, as I said, storytelling is truth well told. So be very authentic, you know, with your experiences when you write. A lot of storytellers I see today struggle with the telling part. So telling is very, very important. You don't have to write an essay, you don't have to keep it like a very short anecdote. It's not an anecdote, it's a story. So as the story structure stays, there is a start, there is a beginning, there is some plot twist, and then there's an end. So all are important. So a story can't be a flat thing. It is like a river, it's got its highs and lows. So if you look at your journey, okay, we all have a journey. Okay, we were born, we did this, we did that. What is that eureka moment that changed your life, that changed your path? So for a lot of us, COVID was a eureka moment. COVID brought us close to our families. COVID brought us close to grief. COVID brought us close to ourselves. So that is the biggest plot twist that has happened. We have all those who've seen COVID, all of us, different generations alike. So I would say one is be authentic. Look at things which actually brought a change, a twist in your ordinary life. That is your eureka moment. And focus on the telling part. Your communication has to be effective and interesting. Keep it simple. Some people think that using a lot of jargons and all always helps. No, keep it simple. My favorite storyteller in the world is R.K. Narayan, because I feel his stories, they were told so simply, such simple English, that anybody could pick that book and read. And even today, I have Malgudi Days as one of the books in my library. And sometimes when I'm just missing my childhood and I want to feel nostalgic, I'll just pick it up, read a pages or two, and then keep it back, and I'll feel happy. So, simple language jargons is not always helping. Of course, if you have very good English vocabulary, it's good. And any language, not just English, whatever is your medium. And most importantly, start doing. A lot of people say develop a niche, but again, my advice is just opposite. I feel there is nothing like a niche. You can't always have, if you have a niche, well and good, but just write what you want to share with people. Don't write for an audience, write and the audience will appear. When I started, so if you see my writing on LinkedIn, I always write about my childhood days, which happened in a very modest middle class home. I write a lot about that. And when I started writing, I was not writing for any particular audience. I was just writing. I just wanted to share some stories from my childhood, which taught me a lot about how my adulting is happening and how I'm using that wisdom even today. And I realized that a lot of people resonated with. I started getting DMs, ki, oh my God, you brought me back my childhood. I started thinking about the house I used to stay in. The drawing room that you imagined or you wrote about was exactly the way my drawing room was, or the TV set that you. So write not for the audience, write because you want to share it and the audience will appear. So that's what. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel like every viewer will have like an amazing time. Like especially the ones who are looking to, go into that creative fields. and are looking how to
Yeah.
expand their communication skills and how to like deeply interact with people, and like tell their own stories. And
Yes.
I truly feel that they have a lot to
And
learn from this
y-
podcast.
absolutely. And one more thing is that if you want to be a good writer, keep on observing and maybe reading also. Reading always helps, and reading can happen in many forms. It can also be listening to podcasts, it can also be listening to storybooks, audio books. It can be simply picking up a book and reading, because that's where your mind expands and your canvas expands, and you get to know about things happening around the world which you may not have visited. So definitely that helps. And I read a lot on LinkedIn. I follow a lot of people on LinkedIn. I read a lot on LinkedIn. I read a lot of fiction, non-fiction, everything, whatever. I listen to a lot of podcasts. So let that information keep coming in, you know, that always helps. And of course, if you want to write something, then first dive deep inside and then come out. Yeah. So a lot of people say, I don't have any stories. मेरे पास कहानियां ही नहीं है. मैं क्या बताऊं अपने customers को? मैं अपनी team के साथ क्या बात करूं? So that is not there. Just dive deep. हमारे सबके अंदर बहुत सारी कहानियां हैं. Just dive deep. And also, as a person, you should also know कि आप किस audience के साथ बैठे हैं और कहाँ पे कौन सी कहानी सुनानी है. So every story will not resonate with every audience. So supposing you are a leader of an organization, you are addressing a team, then you have to have that thing with you, or probably you can learn that what story will resonate with my audience at this moment. So that, of course, that is also an area where I help my clients, that what are the stories you should be telling your team, what are the founder stories, what are the failure stories you should be sharing with your team. So what story to be told at what juncture with whom is also where companies like us can help. Yeah.
Right. Thanks a lot for that, ma'am. And thank you for joining Russell podcast and giving us your valuable time and absolutely wonderful insights. It was a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
have you on our show, and it was a pleasure to meet you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much. Thank you to you too. Yeah.
Guys, thank you for watching Russell podcast. If you want more such content, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you the next time.